The Rosicrucian path is the journey of the mystic. Few souls brave it at any single time. Yet it is this internal voyage that has rewarded many of our greatest minds with the ability to enrich the world. But it is a pilgrimage each individual must travel in their own time, for it reveals the path of knowing. It transcends time and space. This path of the Rosicrucian reveals higher truths for personal evolution. You are invited to witness its sacred history. Grasping the essence of Rosicrucianism begins in understanding that the inner path to enlightenment serves as a guide for any initiate. The Western esoteric traditions have their roots in the ancient mystery schools of ancient Egypt, which were unified under Thutmose III and Hatshepsut. Spiritual practitioners, healers, alchemists, and teachers ranging from Greek philosophers to Renaissance scholars have preserved some of the values in esoteric traditions that emerged as the modern Rosicrucians in the 1600s. Though the knowledge of these traditions is ancient, the Rosicrucians re-emerged in Europe with the publication of 3 manifestos. Europe in the early 1600s was still embroiled in the strife engendered by its moral crisis. The Inquisition was in full force, where heretics burned at the stake, while in France the wars of religion between Protestant and Catholic Christians had raged from 1562 to 1594. King Henry IV, who had been seen as one who could end this strife, was assassinated in 1610. The population had been enduring drought and famine for many years. The first manifesto, the Fama Fraternitatis, was anonymously published in 1614 at the print shop of Wilhelm Wessel in Kassel, Germany. It explained the necessity for general reformation of the world and was essentially an anonymous call to the leaders and scholars of Europe at the time to help transform society beyond religious intolerance and superstition. In 1615, the year following, Wilhelm Wessel published a second manifesto in Kassel, Germany, the Confessio Fraternitatis. The author of this text also remained anonymous. In the introduction, he points out that this work involves a philosophical treatise, after noting that it is embellished by the actions, studies, and knowledge of the RC fraternity. A short preface follows, signed Frater RC, wherein the author indicates that this brief consideration was derived entirely from Hermes, Plato, Seneca, and other philosophers. This confession of the laudable fraternity of the most honorable order of the Rosy Cross, written to the learned of Europe, was divided into 14 sections, although later editions did not always observe this division. In this text, the Rosicrucians place emphasis on their possession of the key to all knowledge, whether it be the arts, philosophy, theology, or medicine. Most experts agree that these 2 manifestos were not the work of one person, but rather a small group of 30 students and scholars at the University of Tübingen in Germany, who were passionate about alchemy, Kabbalah, astrology, and Christian mysticism. Both texts were followed by a third in 1616, entitled The Chemical Wedding of Christian Rosenkreuz. Though it was published anonymously as well, this text is believed to have been authored by Johann Valentin Andrea, also associated with Tübingen, as an initiatic narrative for a person's quest toward the sacred marriage with the soul. These allegorical texts were also meant to teach examples of a deeper understanding of the connection between daily life and the divine nature of reality. In 1927, Amorc first published a booklet entitled The Light of Egypt, The Strange Story of the Rosicrucians, under one of H. Spencer Lewis's pseudonyms, Sri Ramathuriyo. After exploring the publication of the Rosicrucian manifestos in the early 1600s and their impact on the Western world, In this work, a fictional Dr. Roberts explains the importance of applying the knowledge that the Rosicrucians perpetuate and reveals the history of the first Rosicrucians in America. In 2001, a fourth Rosicrucian manifesto, the first in almost 400 years, was published called the Positio Fraternitatis Rosicrucis. This manifesto is a position statement of how Rosicrucians saw the world at that time and presented many of the challenges related to the environment and materialism and excessive consumerism. One of the more important ideas to note is that although the situation was seen as troublesome and worth concern, it was not deemed hopeless. It serves primarily as a call for each individual to focus on what society could be. At that time, members in North America were scheduled to be mailed a manifesto in September, immediately after the World Convention in Sweden. When the September 2001 attacks occurred in the United States, the process was delayed and mail services were suspended because of an anthrax scare. Members all received the manifesto as part of the first delivery of mail after these events, a pointed reminder of what needed correction in our world. In January 2014, the fifth Rosicrucian manifesto was published, in part to honor the 400th anniversary of the first, the Fama Fraternitatis. This new text, called the Appellatio Fraternitatis Rosicrucis, served as an appeal for more spirituality, humanism, and preservation of the environment. Its dual purpose was as a call to Rosicrucians, mystics, and all others who have awakened consciousness and are committed to a path toward enlightenment, and as a mystic steward of global change. Still today, the Rosicrucian Order Amorc continues to perpetuate the Rosicrucian traditions worldwide through its many grand lodges around the world. The new chemical wedding of Christian Rosenkreuz was sealed on January 6, 2016. Inspired by the third Rosicrucian manifesto, published 400 years previously, this sixth manifesto leads us toward the vision of a better world through an alchemical dream. Together, the order strives to share the tools necessary along the path to becoming a Rose-Croix.
The path of the Rose-Croix is the path to enlightenment, and the end state, the end of that path, is the Rose-Croix state.
Therefore, to be a Rosicrucian means to be on a path to enlightenment. To be a Rose-Croix signifies having come to an end of that path. The traditional Martinist order, which operates under the aegis of the Rosicrucian Order Amorc, is an initiatic order and school of moral chivalry, based essentially on Judeo-Christian mysticism, as well as on other world spiritualities. Regardless of this fact, the order is not a religion, and members come from various religious backgrounds, belief systems, and walks of life. Martinist teachings include lessons and experiments on understanding our dreams, the relationships of numbers, attuning with celestial bodies, symbolism, and more. Its name is derived from that of Louis-Claude de Saint-Martin, the French mystic and author who wrote under the pseudonym The Unknown Philosopher. It was formed into an order by the esotericists Papus, Dr. Gerard Oncos, and Augustin Chaboseau in the late 19th century, and is now conducted under the auspices of the Rosicrucian Order Amorc. What is fascinating about Saint-Martin is his turn away from theurgy, the exterior way, in favor of the benefits of the interior way. He preferred a path to enter into the heart of the divine and make the divine enter into his heart.
Well, Martinism is often called the way of the heart. And one of the most profound practices that Martinists share with many other Western esoteric traditions and also many religious and spiritual traditions around the world is what is called the prayer of the heart. And this is usually done by practicing rhythmic breathing. And then accompanying that rhythmic breathing is the repetition of a mantra or a name which represents the person's deepest spirituality, their deepest mysticism. Now, it's not surprising because, of course, breath is the source of life, and the heart, as the ancient Egyptians, and in fact all peoples know, is the true center of consciousness.
The prayer of the heart is as old as humanity itself. Students visiting the Rosicrucian Egyptian Museum in San Jose often ask why the ancient Egyptians disposed of the brain but kept the heart and replaced it during the mummification process. In ancient Egypt, their physicians knew quite well the importance of the brain in this life and how it regulated many bodily functions. However, in the next life, it would not be needed, as the heart is the true center of consciousness. When we practice the prayer of the heart, we are attuning ourselves to the rhythm of creation. We are preparing for our mystical marriage with divine wisdom deep within our hearts.